What up? What up? It's your boy Marco from Upside Down Studios. It is What the Fuck Wednesday. How you doing, everybody out there? Tonight, it's me and Dino the Genetic Marvel. We're gonna discuss a few oddball oddities that's going on in the fucking news. I mean, you can't even really say they're oddballs. Just the new shit today. Um, we we got SpaceX being sued because they can't hire illegals. We, we got we got fucking it's just we're just gonna start off with that. We're just gonna go from there. We're gonna hit on a couple snowflakes on the economy because apparently they don't understand how the world works and the new lockdowns and shit that's happening. So we just gonna get to it. That being said, let me bring my co-host here, Dino,
Wow.
the genetic motherfucking marvel. How you doing today,
Oh,
Dino?
it's damn cold for being August. I'll tell you that. It is damn cold,
It's a little
sir.
nippy down here too.
It's
It ain't
it's
usually this nippy here.
listen.
Usually this the last like ass end of summer and
Well, listen. I remember that even when I rented, was that the last 2 weeks of August, like you could live with having a good like a ceiling fan and stuff like that. Open the window, stuff like that. But the last 2 weeks of August, maybe even the first week of September, you needed AC. That's when you had to have it, right? If you didn't have it then, I went to the mall, you go to the movies, they have nice AC
yeah,
there, it's beautiful.
temperature was swamp ass all
It's
day.
hard. And listen, as a retiring fatso, I'm telling you, I had peak swamp ass during the end of August. Okay, it was like a spring from the mountain. Okay,
Oh,
and
dude, end of June, beginning of July. I mean, I just get out the shower, towel dry, nice, and I'm like,
oh,
dude,
soaking wet.
I gotta wipe my ass.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You needed something to absorb the moisture, baby. That's
Oh
it.
yeah, and
It's
then
where the meat hits the meat. That's where you needed that moisture
and
absorption.
especially for us guys who manscape, because if you get the sack, you got to get the taint and the rest of it, or you just end up with a mullet. So if you're clean shaven all the way around, there's nothing to absorb that sweat. Oh my god, it's
I
just
li-
like
I live my life prideful like Farrah Fawcett, all feathery down there. It's all just like listen. It's very weird. I was raised to fear the global warming, and now it's cold in August. People, I don't know what's happening anymore. It doesn't
yeah,
make any
yeah.
damn sense.
Global warming. We're supposed to be warm right now.
Well, we're supposed to be in danger of the entire world turning into a ball of fire. Um, I'll be
Well,
honest with you. If anything, I feel like I should pack on a couple pounds and get it a little nice. You know, get a little comfort. I got too thin recently, and now I need to pack it up. What's up, Greg?
can't hear shit.
Can't hear? Can you
Wait
hear
a minute.
us?
Wait a minute.
That's
He said
odd.
we can't hear shit.
Why can't you hear shit?
What do y'all can't
Too
hear
loud
shit?
at the eaves, at the races.
Oh,
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 he's gambling away
fuck
his
face.
his
I'm
mortgage money.
thinking we got something wrong over here.
Greg's out
Uh,
there hustling. That's all right.
well, his
Oh,
his brother does I think security or some shit out there at the raceway a
oh,
few
nice.
miles away from here. So we go
Oh,
out there every once in a while.
hey, what's up, Megan? I honestly, I've been to a few horse races and stuff like that, but it also I'm just like,
Oh no, these are midget cars. This is dirt fucking
oh,
flying up
I would
on
like
you,
to watch
fucking
that. I've only been to
yeah,
one monster truck rally and a what's where they all crash?
derby.
Demolition Derby. Both of them are very enjoyable. Actually, one of the cars in the Demolition Derby, the engine blew out, and we were in the what used to now it's called the Rogers Center. When I grew up, it was called the Sky Dome, and an engine blew, and just dude, you just saw an engine, and it was like a fucking V8 just pop right through the hood and go pew right into the sky, and you're like, damn, oh man, that could have gone real bad. It's good, fun times.
Oh, dude, I've yet to see, but I've heard it happen a few times. These midget, you know what a midget car is? It's like these race cars. They're kind of small. They almost look like cars that go on a roller coaster, but they have huge tires and a big wing on the
It's
top.
the big wing with the side thing, right? And you're like, wow, they like go on their side. Yeah. Those are fucking cool.
These
I've never seen
fuckers
them.
go off.
Yeah. Well,
I'm just waiting for one to smack the fucking wall. Just
like I feel that's the benefit of race cars, where you're like, I'm here to watch the race, but also I want to see fire and explosion and someone running for the
somebody
light.
gonna die for my money.
They don't have to die, but I want someone to like come out and be like, oh my god, my arm, like it'd be funny. It's it's just speaking of going into the sky, Marco, what's happening with SpaceX?
Yeah, so SpaceX, Elon Musk space shit, his thing he got going on there. Is being sued by the American Department of Justice for not hiring asylum seekers and refugees, a la illegals.
Let's go a little further. He's being sued for not hiring people that he submitted requests to hire, and the government departments have denied officially because they're not American citizens fully. Right. So the government is suing something that they've done by way of his company.
They're suing him for fucking following the rules.
Strictly. He's like, hey, these are important rules set out by the government of the United States. Got to follow them. It's really important. Don't try and sideline. Just be very careful.
And according to the Civil Rights Department in the immigration, whatever the fuck you want to call it, this is a racial thing, and he is allowed to hire asylum seekers and refugees or whatever like that. Now, on its face, if SpaceX was like a McDonald's, or if SpaceX was like a fucking, a DoorDash or a taxi cab, then it would be fine. But what people don't realize is SpaceX has to do with military, has to do with weapons, has to do with satellites, has to do with a lot of classified shit that you have to have certain clearances for.
Yep.
And you have to have a green card for that at minimum. That is law of the land.
Yeah. But think about it this way, is even if you wanted to work for a government office just to clean the floors, okay? Because now, just so people understand this too, is that normally those kind of departments will hire a service that will clean the building. Okay. Now, back in the day, you could get a good union job sweeping the floors of a government building, and you could retire off that. That was a real job.
Yeah,
it was a good job. School janitors. It's a good job. It's boring as shit, but you know what? You could put your family in, like you could set your family in a level of comfort where you may not be able to buy a house, but your kids would be in line to buy their houses, right? You could afford to send them to school, stuff like that. Now that's changed, and those types of jobs and responsibilities will be outsourced to companies. Now, those companies in turn have to fill out paperwork for every single employee to make sure that those employees are permitted to work in a government building, because a government building has access to government information, and government information has to be it's not, let's be very clear, it's very much not in control, but it's supposed to be held in strict rules and regulations with processes to make sure it's not exposed. So all the employees of even these subcontractors have to be cleared. But now they're saying, no, you could hire them for some jobs, which is just not true. It's just not true. I've seen people not get jobs because of that. Like where like they got the contract. They're like, great, we need a background check of all your employees. They're like, sure, here you go. And they're like, ooh, sorry, you lost the contract because these 3 employees are landed immigrants or whatever. Like they weren't not official. And you're like,
right.
Yeah, but they're going through the process according to the government.
No, it doesn't work like that. No. Even when I worked for the water department in Campbell, I had a background check. Why? Because not only
Water.
was I in the water department facilities, but I had to go up to City Hall quite often.
Yeah.
And I had to walk around City Hall, and I had to go to different departments and shit. I
Yeah.
mean, I was privy to information. I mean, just information, whether it be, nominal or whatever.
Doesn't
It's
matter.
still,
Yeah.
you want your information that you done put on your water bill or whatever just to happen and end up in Nigeria somewhere.
Listen, that is a real thing that people listen.
Dude,
Loose lips sink ships. Okay, loose lips sink ships. It's just...
Dude, I had some little bit off topic, but I just had like maybe a week ago somebody a friend requested me, and I looked at he was a friend of a few other people, a few other comedians.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, let me see it. Look like a kid from Cleveland or whatever.
Right.
So as soon as I confirmed the friend request, he messages me.
Right.
Like, how you doing? What's up?
Sure.
Like, how's the weather out there? Like, pretty shitty.
Yeah.
And he's like trying to make banner. And he's like, you ever been to Africa? No. He's like, well, I just lost my parents and I'm taking care of my siblings. I'm only 19. Do you think you could send me a block?
Yeah. Okay. I want to know. Please feel free to respond in the comments, and everyone, because listen, I get those all the time, Marco, and it's the same thing where number one, I'm disappointed in my fellow men. I'm disappointed in you because you know what? Anything with tits, just like, I'll accept a friend. What's up, baby? And you're like, listen.
Well, now this is just this is a dude. This is a 19-year-old dude.
And I get it from guys too. Be like, hey, do you think you could help me out? I'm like, no.
And then you're getting tits. The only ones I get aside from shit like that are, do you want to be my sugar daddy?
No.
No, not at all. Not at all.
I have asked people and be like, no, but I'll take money from you. They're like, I'm asking for money. I'm like, why are you asking me for money? I don't have any money. I think you have money. You just not fancy. What's up, Yusuf?
Now, I will admit one day one of them almost got me though. Because they messaged me from one of my friends. It was actually one of my co-hosts accounts. I guess he got hacked. And I had like a 20-minute conversation with this motherfucker. And I'm like going back and forth. I'm like, something sounded right, because they're trying to get certain information from me. And I'm like, after I realized something wasn't right, I just kept fucking with him back and forth. And then on my son's line, I'm like, hey, call Greg. See if Brad is with him. Because they were working together. And Greg's like, Brad's right here. I was like, ask him if he's been talking to me for the past fucking half hour. He was like, God damn. No, not at all.
Bro, that always, oh God. Can I ask you, okay, so what, do people actually send these people money? Like, is that a real thing? Like, in all
honesty,
they
prey more on like the slow people and like the elderly people, because I know a friend of mine, they sent their son who's autistic some money on like a Cash App.
Sure.
And something was like his phone was fucking up, and it wasn't Cash App, but it was the phone fucking up. Yeah. So him, being a little slow, he thought that he could fix it himself, and he Googled a certain thing on how to unlock your Cash App or whatever, and here it was a scam website. He put the information in there, and it totally fucking cleared his parents' account. Like totally out of it, and there was no way of getting it out because it was kind of like a willingly, type deal.
Do you authorize? Yes, of course. I want my phone fixed, and they're like, nah, you authorized money.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm assuming that's how they get it, because anybody else, like, I'll fuck with you. I'll fuck with you for a minute, but you ain't getting no information out of me. You ain't getting none of this or that out of me.
In all honesty, I've had some messages that were very aggressive, and I was like, right out of the gate, eh? And there's like, yeah, well, this is what I do. And I'm like, I wish you all the best. They're like, well, are you interested? I'm like, no, you already sent me a video for free. I don't.
Not at all.
I'm good. I'm like, wait, you think I'm out here paying for shit? No, absolutely not. Come on.
So what do you think about Elon Musk putting Mexicans on the moon?
Like,
I mean,
there's a lot of sweeping to be done, so I'm not against it, but at the same
well, just think of how bad this looks, though. All right, the Chinese are farming on the dark side of the moon. They're planting cotton up there.
Well,
So
it's supposed to be
our DOJ,
right?
our DOJ is saying that Elon Musk should be hiring these refugees and shit like that. So what if Elon Musk takes the refugees to the moon and now they're picking cotton on the moon? Ain't that slavery all over again?
It depends if they can live, senor. It's
Elon Musk got to change his name. Elon, if you're listening, change your next 3 spaceships name to the Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria.
Oh, God damn.
Or what was the boat that the Mayflower? It was the Mayflower, wasn't it? Yeah. Wasn't that the boat that brought?
Hey, the first passenger ship that SpaceX launches should be called the Mayflower. I feel like that is history repeating itself, people.
Right.
See, you know what? Like, this is the thing is, we're definitely going to hell for this episode. That's but that's fine. It'll be nice. I like the people there. And you can't even go nowhere. You're stuck on the moon picking on. Like that's the problem, right? Like it's not like there's
no, man. They're talking about, there's different cities up there because the Indians are up there, so they got all kind of quickie marts and shit just being built up quick as shit up there. Like the Russians got things going on up there, so you get your alcohol up there. The Chinese are in the back. They got the cotton, but at least they got some decent food. So I mean, the only ones that were actually told not to come back to the fucking moon was the Americans.
Pretty much. I see. How is that? Number one, like what the fuck are they thinking? Like, because let's be honest, they're sending people up there, and you're like, okay, they're like, we're gonna mine helium-3, and you're like, okay, cool.
Helium-3 is coming from Mars. That's some new shit that they're saying it's on the moon.
Oh,
like they've been mining helium-3 on Mars since they've been doing the quantum computers. That's how they fucking cool them.
Well, listen, and quantum technology is also the same base as what they're doing for teleportation type stuff, right? Like there's experiments that are happening with regards to
they rip holes, they get their resources from other dimensions. And nobody grasps that concept when people were saying that in the beginning. And they're like, oh, the other dimensions, yeah. No, well, other dimensions. Just think about that. They're telling you that this is real. The other dimensions are real, and you can grab stuff from there.
The idea behind this, and just so people understand this, yes, it's a little conspiracy theory zone, but there's certain elements of information. So one of the things is that, like, we see space, that there's so much darkness of what we assume or presume to be nothing. But scientists have been trying to prove, this is the problem, is our scientists aren't there yet, right? Just like Einstein wasn't there yet, Stephen Hawking wasn't there yet. It's like, hey, I believe this to be the fact. I just can't prove it because the science isn't there yet. So they are saying that nothingness isn't nothing. It is the ether that you can tap for resources. The problem is we don't understand how any of it works. So the fact that we're talking about these kind of transmissions of things, I know it sounds a little bit crazy, but it's not that crazy. Because remember, think about it this way: you're watching us through the power of the internet.
Right.
Explain it. Just takes 5 minutes to figure it out, because you can't. Because listen, I'm in Toronto, he's in Cleveland-ish, and yeah. So you're like, yeah, and we're talking to you wherever the fuck you are. That's not how things used to work, right? Remember that the computer that could do something even a fraction of this size, really just radio waves, used to take up the size of an entire house, right? So we have no idea. And remember, like, you see drones in movies and stuff, those are like 7 generations of drones ago, right? What we're talking about now are little tiny ones that are just going to go and zap you from far away, and you're like, oh, wow, they started a fire on an island. How does that happen? It's amazing.
Speaking of, I'm glad you said that shit, because I just read an article that said by next year, that not only is our military doing it, but we're commissioning other outside companies to make them too.
Yeah.
Thousands and thousands of mini attack drones.
Yeah. Listen, even do you remember that interview with Musk where he's like, with current technology on a cell phone, you could create face recognition technology. You just attach a little Semtex to the actual drone, and it just flies into somebody and blows up. That's it.
Eh, eh,
Very
eh,
that's that, and
yeah.
that's like 5 years old, right? Like that's before the pandemic. And
Well,
remember,
see now, but
yeah,
like remember the Chinese military is weak. Remember, it's small. The Chinese military can never handle, and the excuse for making these drones are to compete with the Chinese military.
listen, the only benefit that the West or even the United States has is the fact that there is no more untrustworthy alliance than China and Russia. Like you're like, I'm sorry, you can't like the idea that you're like, oh, they're gonna make a reliable currency. I'm like, they aren't reliable to their own people. Forget about relying on everyone else. Like that's not like the only
It,
idea is that in the United States we have a semblance of some sort of freedom ish that technically you should be okay.
See,
In
here's
Russia
the
and China,
problem
you have
with that
nothing.
though. Here's the
No.
problem with that though.
Yeah.
Russia, I mean, as much as people don't like to look at it, as corrupt Russia has
Yes.
been over the years, they actually do have gold backing and a
Yes.
bunch of it.
Yeah.
Like, you know, the reason why America couldn't flip Venezuela, right?
Yeah. They have resources.
A long time ago, fucking, they paid Russia in their gold. They traded off their gold rights in Venezuela because Venezuela is full of gold.
Yeah, it is.
These dumb fucks gave their gold away so Russia would take their oil because they had too much oil. Their fucking water is destroyed. They had such
Oh, yeah.
shitty facilities, and especially with everything going down, like they just left these fucking oil rigs going. So they're dumping fucking oil in. So
Yeah.
they're paying Russia in gold to fucking take their oil.
Yeah.
And you really think Russia was gonna let America flip Maduro?
Yeah.
You really think that I mean, Trump is a bad motherfucker when it came to politics like that. He
Shit.
had negotiation skills, but no, nobody's
Yeah.
that stupid. These
Hashtag
idiots
peace in the
just
Middle
gave
East.
me the
Yeah.
world.
Yeah. Look,
So I
that's
mean,
not it none of it makes any sense. And listen, and Russia being backed by gold, I may trust. China's involvement in anything that they
no,
can
China
control,
got nothing, man. China
nothing.
got people, and now they're
They do
paying
have people.
people. Apparently, their little their little not wanting girls or whatever back in the day, whatever
Oh,
that whole
the three
conspiracy
body
was.
problem. Yeah.
Yeah. Now it's backfired because now they're
Yeah.
paying people 130 $137 American, or I don't know how many thousand won it is, but 130 or $137 American
Looking
to
at it right now.
get pregnant a girl under 25.
Yeah. Because it's let's see, RMB
They know they're
to
going to war and they're going to lose fucking Asians.
oh, they can't yeah, no, it's insane. Let's go. We said $127 equals 925 Chinese yuan. So China has smart people too, though. They have the tech industry on lock. So see, this is the thing: is China has this weird thing where they have the ability to mass produce,
Right.
and
But they
but they
steal everybody else's fucking intellectual
exactly
properties.
it's innovation. So this is the thing: is innovation is a very I don't want to say North American thing, but it's a very free way of thinking. So, like if in Greece, they refer to it as you make your own little patenta, your own little patent, your own way of doing shit,
Right.
where you're like, yeah, I'll just piece it together and I'll figure it out, right? That takes a certain level of creativity that's only nurtured in a free environment, right? That's when you're raised and things are drilled. Remember, China is one of the first ones to be using AI to monitor people's alpha waves in class to make sure that they're studying and doing the job. Okay. That's fucking weird, right? There's a level of control and manipulation that stops creativity, that feeds that innovation that people need. And that's why China is responsible for so much copyright issue and trademark issue where they're like, yeah, no, we'll just do it, right? And that's the thing is you have entire countries where, and remember, this is happening and has been happening for decades, where you're like, oh, you can get Nike shoes without saying Nike on them in China, and they're exactly the same shoe. They just
Get them
can't say
here at
Nike.
flea market.
But that's the whole idea. You're like, listen, and the guy who's shipping them in, he's like, yeah, every once in a while he'll get nabbed. It doesn't make a difference because for every one container he gets through, he can get nabbed on 2 containers and still be making a profit.
Oh yeah,
right. That's just how it is. That's why. So China does have smart people. There's no question, but they are. It's kind of like a fast horse being hobbled. You're like, it's told, don't move too fast, or we'll shoot you in the fucking head, and you're going to the glue factory, which is kind of a thing if you don't know.
On the other hand, though, I mean, like you said, with the whole mass producing of shit and the stuff that in like you can go down to, I've seen videos where people go in downtown China, and it looks like a big flea market, and you could buy parts to build you a supercomputer for less than fucking $100.
No. So
and if you want an Apple symbol on it, you can put an Apple symbol on it. You can put a Microsoft symbol on it. You could have Linux and all the other shit. I mean,
listen, and that's the whole idea is that there is a remember, right? Like, so think about it this way: is in the United States, where what are you guys up to? Like 350 million now for population?
I think it's a little bit more than that, but no. Sure. After COVID, it kind of dropped a little bit. And then, like, I don't know how you count the trans testicles.
Like, they count as 2 people.
Do they count as 2 people or a half a person or 1/6? I mean, is that what they were talking about?
They count as 4/3 of a person, but if they're fat, they're 2 people. That's how it counts. That amount of people is hard to rule or control. So you'll always have a underlying barter economy that is people just wheeling and dealing and trying to do their own thing, right? So when you have over 1 billion people, those situations become a little bit heinous because you can't control. So I've been to a city, it's one of the biggest cities, it's like an industrial city in China. It's called Chongqing, and it is 30 million. That's actually the name. And you know what? You shouldn't have laughed because it's a real place. Anyway, it's not important. Right. The point is over 30 million people. We're talking about look, I was in a 80-story Hilton. I looked out the window. I was on like the 60th floor. I looked out and I was like, I can't see wilderness. Like just city as far as the eye can see. And it's a daunting thing, but you're going, yeah, that's just an industrial city. Essentially, I had a meeting with the GM of that city, and I'm like, what the fuck did I sign up for? It was a weird trip, but you're going to a place.
Did they feed you hallucinogenic mushrooms?
No, actually, they treated me like gold. And the guy was like, hey, do you want to go see some ladies? I'm like, no, I'm just gonna go back to my hotel. He's like, but we can go ladies on the company dime. I'm like, no, that's okay, man. And he's like, okay, weirdo. I'm like, why am I the weirdo? Anyway.
And then he brings you up little boys to your room.
Oh, bro. I had to buy a money card for my phone, and I was like, I asked the bullet, I'm like, can you put this on? He's like, okay. And then I gave him an extra like 100 yuan. He's like, okay. And I'm like, yeah, man, I don't care. This isn't money to me. And so fucking Monopoly money. But anyways, that was the thing, is that like you see an industrial city like that and you're going, yeah, that's not like, there's so much that you're just going, yeah, you can't regulate that. You don't have a police force that are like, oh, we'll just hang out. No, that's not, especially that's what's happening with places like New York, where you're going, oh yeah, you have 30 million people. You can't hire enough police. And also the idea of being police, only an idiot would do that, right? Doesn't make any sense.
Especially you don't have people that would respect for anything these days. I mean, nobody's grateful for anything. You give somebody something, and there's like, they think they deserve it. They think they're entitled to it.
Too many people.
Yeah. I mean, and it's even a lot of American people are like that too. I mean, fuck, and I've talked about this before, but like, you know, a lot of these women, and it's mostly women. I have yet to see a man post it. But a lot of these women out here, my babies are gonna be my babies forever, no matter what. If you need a bill paid, come to mama. If you need food, come to mama. If you need this or that, come to. No, no. That's how we got a whole generation of fucking pussies as it is. Tell that fucking kid you're an adult. Figure it the fuck out.
It's about that time, my friend.
Nothing chops my ass more. One moment. This is gonna take a minute to design it.
Listen.
Special halftime for Scotty. We have the
deluxe.
The deluxe chicken bukkake. I got enough for a full circle. Look, the tranny one in the middle bobbing.
Well, it's definitely bobbing for something. Just how that works, but no, listen.
All right, so yeah, like I can't stand the entitlement. I mean, when I watched that fucking video of them illegals that they gave the hotels to up in fucking New York,
yeah,
you know, they pretty much forced these hotel owners, high-end hotel owners, they forced them to give up any extra rooms, any empty rooms to these illegals.
Yes.
They have to feed them. They're barely getting back what those rooms are worth.
Yeah.
And now these people think that they're entitled to that. When they're asked to leave for other families to come in, or when they're asked, you know, they're throwing away fucking meals that people would kill for. Who, you know, $50, $60. You know how much it costs to fucking go out to eat in a lower fucking upper class place? Fucking, and you're throwing it away. Like they took camera people down to the where they're throwing the shit, and it's just, and half of it is still they don't like it. It's not ethnic food. It's not, motherfucker. These are supposed to be refugees and asylum seekers. Those people are supposed to eat a fucking Tic Tac that came out from under a fridge if you got it. What the fuck?
I felt like that was a little too detailed of an example, Marco, for listen, no, this is the thing, okay? I grew up, okay, where I'm the baby in my family, okay? So a very large baby, but the whole idea was that my mom obviously loved me more than all my siblings because I was her baby. That's just how that goes, right?
Now, you were to run in the litter
for like 5 minutes, like it lasted all of 2 hours. You know,
I love you to death, man, but your mama's hips got to be detachable like a boa constrictor.
Interestingly enough, the brother that just passed away, he was 2 years older than me. He was like 10 pounds 6 ounces. But I was only 7 pounds 7 ounces. So it's like I had to land, and then it was like, man, it just unfolded.
You just fell out.
Yeah, well, my poor mom, love her to death. But here's the thing: is my mom would actually be like, she's like, "Oh, do you want something to eat?" And I'd be like, "No, I don't feel like eating." She's like, "Do you want me to make you something else?" And she was always catered to me, and I'd be like, "No, don't be like that," because I knew that was a bad thing to start. Now, there were times when I took advantage of it. Don't get me wrong. I'm like, "Mom, can you make me some eggs? I like some eggs, please." You know, if you love me, you'd make me some eggs. And that's me being a little brat. But the problem is that we have now an entire group of citizenry that someday citizenry, not already citizenry, that is just standing there with their mouth open, waiting for God to drop food from the sky. That's not how life works.
Manna from heaven.
Listen, even manna, when it fell, it had to be collected immediately. Otherwise, it would become bad, and you couldn't keep it overnight. You had to trust that God would drop that's the story. If you read about manna from heaven, you realize that there were certain things you couldn't keep manna because that was greedy, right? That was a sin. And if you kept it overnight, it would have maggots the next day. There's a lot of weird shit in the Bible, people. But like the idea behind that is you're like, look, people get, when they receive asylum or refugee status, the idea is that they're going to have a certain window to kind of get their shit together. Because listen, traveling as an asylum seeker or refugee is a traumatic experience. I will give you that. There's no question. It's
supposed to be a traumatic experience.
Well,
It ain't shuttle buses to the nearest fucking Hilton.
I'm not disagreeing with you, but what I'm saying is the idea is that window of a period of time for you to get your shit together and get back to work, right? That's the idea. So the principle that people are like, well, no, I don't have to do anything. You're like, no. You came here to work. It's not to not work. That would be insane, right? You can't bring people here to not work and burden society. That's just not how real life works. That's how you have craziness happen, and that's what's happening in New York now, right?
New York, fucking Chicago, or you notice you don't even hear shit about Oregon anymore. Like they just gave up on Oregon totally. Like Portland, they just gave the fuck up on them. I was like,
I
all
feel
right,
like
you can
yeah,
have your dope, shut the fuck up, and don't leave.
I feel like I wouldn't doubt that Oregon now has a wall around it where you can't leave.
Oh, I'm sure
Like
they do.
you have
And
to get permission to leave at this point. You know what I mean? Like
well, all they have to do to really implement that to be legal is just turn it into a 15-minute city.
yeah, which listen,
Because that's what these people don't get. These 15-minute cities. If I said it once, I'll say it 1,000 times. They sound convenient. I mean,
yeah,
because they're made to be convenient. It's a convenient prison.
yeah,
You know, everything that you could possibly need is within 15 minutes. You shouldn't even have to be able to drive there.
correct.
But if you want to go to the next city over, you got to have a pass. You
Well,
got to have your credentials right. And
that's
if you
right.
don't have the right credentials, you're not allowed in that city. You're not allowed out of your city.
Well, and think about this, people, was that right now there's been some posts on social media stating how certain grocery stores had no groceries. They didn't
Yeah.
have any fresh produce. And you're going, now, in that scenario, like I live in a nice area because I'm not poor. Simple. Uh, no, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Like, even when I came to Cleveland, we were talking, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not fucking poor. That's like, just don't. You're like, you ever been to this? I'm like, of course I have. I'm a fucking baller. No, so I'm not a baller. I'm just let's just be clear on that one. But the idea is that if there was a grocery store here that didn't have produce, I'm like, okay, I'll just go to another one. Because within walking distance, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 grocery stores, and bike ride distance, probably a Walmart. So I'm
Oh,
like,
see,
okay,
we got a Walmart in walking distance. I got Family Dollar right up the street. I got a Save-A-Lot liquor store. You get a Weave right up the street. We got a DMV like a walking distance. And if the regular stores ever ran out of produce, every Wednesday and Sunday the flea market always got fresh fucking produce.
I miss going to the flea market, to be honest with you, man. Because you know what, there's a quasi flea market in the area that I was like, oh, that's where they have a flea market. My wife was like, you can go. I'm like, oh, thanks, honey, I appreciate that.
Should have
Good to
said
know.
something while you were here, man. I was taking you to the. I fucking love going to the flea market.
I'm hoping
My
that I'm going to be
grandma got
back.
me hooked to that.
I'm hoping I'm going to be back in September, and we'll have a little more time to hang out. Because, in all honesty, I had a very enjoyable time, and it was fun. I liked Cleveland. It was a nice place, but they didn't let me kill anyone, which I was like, I kind of had my heart set on it. So, we'll see.
Could
Next
have
time.
killed them fucking people who made them nasty ass Fila up there. Oh my god!
Bro,
Look, anybody who knows me knows I fucking love Fila Domares. Oh
yeah,
my god, I love
listen,
and to make me not. Well, I spent $50, $50 fucking
listen,
on
people.
oh
Always get a
oh
tester. Always get a
oh
tester before you buy
oh my god.
$50 worth of something.
You know, I trusted these people. There was an old Greek lady. I think she was there for a front. They had Mexicans in the
She
back
was
rolling
selling
them
it.
fucking things.
She even pretended not to speak English. She spoke English very
Oh,
well.
dude,
Listen,
man.
I walked up to a few Greek people and I started speaking Greek, and they were like, "Oh, okay, no problem." And they were like, "Oh." It was like the first time that they actually met somebody who spoke Greek as
They're
well. And I'm
probably
like,
fucking Mexican or something, or Puerto
first,
Rican or Italian. They just do the hair different. The old Italian people, they look Greek.
bro,
They just switch the hair up a little bit, the tilt to the side this way instead of the other side. And
Listen, it was a very much so we have an area close to where I am where my cousin and her family live, where it's predominantly Italian people. Okay, so they talk like this, and I'm like, okay, do you speak Italian? They're like, no. I'm like, okay, have you ever been to Italy? No. You're like, what the fuck are you doing? You just sound like an idiot, is what you're doing, right? So in the same sense, these people, where I'm like, there were people who have migrated, or maybe they had been as children to Greece, but their kids just were like, hey, I'm Greek, and you're like, no, you're not.
See, in
You're
Campbell,
pretend.
where I grew up in Campbell, like the Greek kids had to go to Greek school. Like,
Oh, bro, you
like it
got
was
beat
like
in Greek
after
school.
I used to feel bad for my because I had a lot of friends, and like they'd have to leave school and go
Yeah,
right to Greek school.
and you
So
get beat up, man.
they knew they're Greek. I mean, them kids, before they even hit high school, they were gibbering off and fucking, whatever the fuck that shit is.
Clicks and
Yeah,
stuff, and yeah.
My daughter, fucking, her best friend Themi back from school, had her into the classes and shit, and she did the little dance thing around,
Yeah.
whatever that Bavarian Frankenstein Dracula dance or whatever, when they dance around with the little pompadour thingies on their head. Look like
I
village
can't disagree
girls.
with you because that is what it looks like. It's not my fault. Okay.
Yeah. Look like they're
Anyway,
sacrificing gypsy girls.
as God intended, sir. As God intended. Okay. That's not on me. That's how God did things. Okay. He needed a virgin. It's not that fault. Okay. No more virgins. It's perfect. Very simple.
Speaking of needing to sacrifice a virgin and throw it in the volcano,
Hey.
so
Makes for a
Maui
good
is
harvest.
fucked. So Maui, they're pretty much making sure Maui is fucked because FEMA is out of money.
Listen,
FEMA, how the fuck does that happen? You know how the fuck that happens? Because we gave it all to fucking Ukraine. Now Florida is shit in the bed. Maui's on fucking. Oprah already got that shit mapped out. Her and Zach got it mapped out already.
listen, the fact that I think it was the Hawaiian governor, was like, well, we want to find out how we can take a hold of this land now to make sure nothing happens. You're going, that's a weird way of saying that. That doesn't make any sense. And now, so all the public access roads to the areas that have been burned, which the burning in and of itself, I have issue with, but besides that, like, the roads that are public access have all been blocked off. You cannot stop. You have to just keep on driving by. They have protection fences up so you can't see and things like that, where I'm going, okay, guys, none of that makes any sense. And well, already they were saying that Marines stopped FEMA from burying bodies. There was that article that we talked about last week, or
They were
you
doing
sent out
mass burials and shit, dude.
yeah. And also that families were not able to claim bodies. Do you think Canada will have lockdown again? That is the name. Well, they've already said that the variant, the new variant, because that's how things happen. That's already arrived in BC. It's already in the States in a few places. I think it came with the malaria in Florida. So, which Marco,
It came with the leprosy. That's where it came. It came with the fucking leprosy and the plague.
And
that's where the fuck it came.
If you read like I have, people, you never come on a leper. That's not what you're supposed to do. Okay, that doesn't help the leprosy.
No. You can come on a leper. You don't let the leper come on you.
That's also good advice. Also good advice. Because malaria hadn't been in the United States on domestic soil for like 4 decades, right? Like it was eliminated from thing.
Yeah, because we spray our fucking kids down. We crop dust the kids every summer.
Listen, you sometimes a little what was it, DDT, just a little in the eyes, give them a little color blindness, it'll be fine. So the idea that lockdowns are coming, I'll be honest with you, I didn't feel that bad about lockdowns. Like it wasn't. I've explained this before. If there was an Olympic sport for laziness, I wouldn't just win. I would send someone else to pick up my gold medal. Okay. There's not. So staying home, I was like, Netflix. Like it was great. But, I definitely think that that's going to be happening this winter, but I don't feel that people are going to give a shit like they did the first time around.
This is going to be like an every winter thing now. because it
I think
goes
you're gonna
away in the
try.
summer, it comes around in the winter. So that's the lockdown. It's gonna become a new thing, man.
Yeah. No,
You know,
and
oh,
honestly,
the
yeah.
winter's gonna be proven to be fucking, it's, infectious or whatever like that, or every time because of climate change, it lets go some bacteria in the air that only comes during the winter time.
Well, look, how many times? So even still, has been a few examples of people where they built like a greenhouse around their house. It makes it easier to heat your house. You actually have access to greenery and stuff like that throughout the year. So I can't do that with my house because it's semi detached. But we did build a greenhouse this past summer, or last summer. So now we've been using it to grow stuff, and I'm leaning towards actually expanding it because, in all honesty, it's
Gotta
just
watch.
useful.
It's becoming illegal to fucking grow your own food.
Oh,
It's becoming illegal. Here's something that I don't understand. Like, and this would eliminate a lot of people's problems, especially not only with COVID, with a lot of these other fucking airborne shits. You know, they've already figured out, even though they laughed at Trump and they laughed at Alex Jones, they already figured out that the UV light kills this shit.
Yeah.
And it kills a lot, like most fucking shit.
Yeah.
Now, around the 60s, everybody had a black light. Everybody had a black light. UV lights.
Yeah.
You know, at least around in America, you know, they always had the psychedelic pictures and the black lights, all that shit.
I know.
So,
also, everyone's dirty.
If we're really worried about that, and they're pretty fucking cheap.
Yeah.
Put black lights in every fucking building. You could even put them in your cars. You know, I have handheld ones that I bought at the bin fucking stores, dude. I mean, they're so abundant now because they work. Ha ha. Alex Jones right again. But I mean, if you have these things in your car and in these buildings or whatever, I mean, wouldn't that cut down on a lot of this having to wear a mask shit?
Well, okay, let's be totally reasonable here. Is that did you get sick throughout the pandemic? Did you get sick?
Yeah, but it was like normal. So I didn't get COVID sick.
Okay, so like because we both know.
No, I just thought I had COVID. My fucking daughter has it, and for the second time, and she's vaccinated. Yeah, fucked up.
Funny how that is, isn't it?
But you know, she was in contact with another one of my kids, and I took her to like for a ride, and I'm like, oh fuck. So I was feeling kind of my allergies get puffy, and I'm like, oh man. So I went and took a COVID test. Didn't, you know, I'm cool, but you know, apparently it was just bad coke, not COVID. But
that'll happen. That is. I just got my ability for
that bad joke.
Yeah, well, listen. At least you admit it. So that's what matters. No, but that's like I never got it, but that's me and my wife will take the time. Like we get home, we wash our hands, we try and not rub our eyes, we try and not you know, we'll use some hand sanitizer. Like if we're out somewhere, okay, we get back in the car, hand sanitizer, and then off we go. Why? Just good practice. It's just best practice.
I rub myself on my animals. I rub myself in the grime and the dirt. That's how we grew up. That's how you get an immunity, baby.
I'm not disagreeing with you, but you know, what am I?
But I mean, you got home training though, because I get it. You know, you wash your hands. You don't fucking, you know, don't wipe your ass and then fucking rub your eyes. You know, shit like that.
Listen, that stops pink eye. Like that's just good advice, right?
That gives you pink eye right there.
No. If you don't wash your hands after scratching your ass, touch your eyes, you get pink eye. Yeah. So like little things like that is something that we've tried to implement, and you're like, okay, we've actually gotten better, and also we've gotten healthier. We've both lost weight and stuff like that. So it's like, while I'm still fat, I'm not like super, super high risk when it comes to getting sick, because as fat as I was during the pandemic, there's a good chance that a flu would have taken me out, right? Like just a bad, like a pneumonia, I would have been dead. So that's why I'm like, I at this point, I don't think people give a shit.
Like now back in the day, they're a totally different thing. You know, you're healthy, big guy. You know, good immunity. You know, you get thin guy. You know, you die. Oh.
Well, that's because the food that you eat to get fat, as I was, is just ridiculous. Number one, but also too, most people like there are a lot of people who are
jiggly seen fat. The way I eat.
$50 worth at least. No, but that's the thing is, you also remember, like I was like thick, gristly man fat, right? Whereas a lot of people now are just like jiggly, gross Jello fat, right? And Jello fat has zero health properties.
Fuck off.
Okay,
Fuck off.
listen, with your big fat titties, you're the one who wear a tong tom, not me. Okay, um, listen, men are allowed to show nipples on the YouTube, so it's
You
fine.
want to see it? You want to see
No,
it?
so nasty. But yeah, that's like, I don't think people are gonna give a shit anymore at this point, because listen, it's the same with depression and stuff like that. They're like, oh yeah, now studies show that exercise and getting out in the sun are your best medicine. Staying in bed, like even like today has been a dreary day, and I felt like shit all day. And my wife was like, why don't we go for a walk? We walked over to a restaurant. We had some food, which, I hadn't eaten in 24 hours. So I was a little grumpy, as a fat boy does. And my wife was like, maybe we should get some nachos. And they were delicious nachos. And I had my fill. And then we walked back home. I felt great. And it's like, listen, 9 times out of 10, a walk won't necessarily, like, a walk won't fix your problem, but it definitely won't make your problem worse. And that's just scientific, right? So go for a walk, get out in the sun, and if somebody locks you down, just punch them in the face. That's my advice.
All right, so we got about 10 minutes left here. Um, we'll hit you with this one last thing. What do you feel
Okay.
about the whole? Have you heard about the whole Blue Roof conspiracy?
I'm still trying to read up about this, but so they're like, apparently that that color isn't affected by certain energy wavelengths. Now, the science, okay, says that that is realistic technology, because the idea behind that, remember, is also how you can now have those glasses that can stop you from being
The blue
colorblind, like that.
blockers.
Right. So, is there science towards that? Yes. Do I believe that? Because they're showing a lot of blue things that didn't catch your eye. So
I seen it. I seen the
I
lasers,
know I've seen the lasers too,
and
which
the fact that the people on Maui keep saying, "Well, we're not going to talk about the blue laser beams." Like I couldn't. I had no clue what they were talking about until like
it's
4 days afterward when I was like, they showed videos of it. I'm like, wait a
yeah, it's
minute.
weird.
This is before videos came out of it. So what are these people? What do these people see going on over there?
This is the thing, is that there's a lot going on right now that doesn't make any fucking sense, right? And so like some of those pictures I call bullshit on. Like, did you see the umbrellas where they're like, oh, these umbrellas weren't affected? You're like, now,
No, no, I've just seen
yeah,
the video of the laser. The guy was talking
right.
to some chick and was like, "Hey, come over here." Come. What the hell is that? What?
And
And he's like, he's
yeah,
freaking out. Yep, you just see it like
yeah.
straight down. Zoom.
So the idea is behind those laser weapons that someone somewhere may have used that. Now, there is an argument that said that there is a possibility that it was electronic arc from vegetation, and so very possible. We have just hold on. Let me finish. Just let me finish this thought, okay? But the problem with that is then you combine in that power companies were not advised to shut off the power.
Right.
Water facilities were purposefully shut off,
Yep.
right? So the
No
problem,
sirens.
no
No
sirens,
sirens. No
no
texts.
alarms. When those areas that were burned are fitted for wildfires, there are departments that are responsible to cut vegetation. There are companies such as Dole who's responsible to cut that vegetation so it doesn't cause fires. And remember, we're not talking about May and June and July. We're talking about the end of August, the end of the summer, the end of growing. If they hadn't cut it in June and something caught fire, you're going, they hadn't got to it. It happens. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about at the end of
Just the end
summer,
of the season. Yeah.
everything should have been cut, dry, trimmed. No worries. Because you know what? Next time we're cutting it is going to be in the next year. Don't worry about it. Right. It should have been shaven down to a lady's parts. Just boom,
Well, I
nice
mean,
and trimmed. Okay.
like I think we brought it up on one of the other shows. Um, the same exact thing, the
Mm,
same way. Now, if we're talking like the way that we're being told that this fire started, you
yeah.
know, an electrical box sparked because of the drain, the too heavy drain on the power grid, and they hit some
Yeah.
trees, which caught fire.
Which is
Well, now
plausible.
in California, if you don't
Hmm.
recall, 3 years
Hmm.
ago, was it 4 years ago,
Yeah.
that an electrical box magically overheated and caused sparks, and it only hit certain houses, and
Only.
it only hit certain properties, and it totally melted cars over here, but not over
No.
here.
How did that
Didn't have
happen?
anything with any blue, but something fucking blue.
Wow. This is the thing is like I believe the idea that a transformer could blow, a branch can fall on a thing because I have seen that before. I've seen something arc like that, and it's very scary. It's very intimidating, and you're like, hey man, we could just fucking die right now. Like this is some scary shit. Like that's real stuff, right? If you've ever been close to a transformer station and seen something arc, you go, oh shit, fuck
I've,
me,
I've,
right?
I've,
It's
dude, like
it's
when,
scary,
like
right?
good, what was it, about 10 years ago?
Okay.
Like, and I wasn't even thinking. You know, I was stoned. I'm not gonna lie, but I mean, when am I not? But I woke up in the morning to get ready for work, and I was living at my ex's house, and I go outside and I sparked up a joint, and I noticed this girl come around the corner and she smacked the telephone pole, and fucking power lines are on top of the car. She managed to get out. She's screaming and freaking out. I run over there. There's a baby in the back seat of the car, and
Wait,
I
wait.
wasn't thinking, dude. No
Did the baby
lie,
get
like
superpowers? I want to know if the baby got
no,
superpowers.
no,
Oh,
no.
okay.
Um,
Just in case.
I think he ended up playing football for Liberty though.
Well, hey, maybe a little superpower.
But I mean, I just afterward, as I look back, that was a very bad situation. But I just dove in the car, grabbed the kid out the fucking car, and gave it to the lady.
Yeah, you
But,
should watch more GI Joe, man. You never go around power lines. That's just dangerous. It's just
well, I mean, it was like instinct, you know. I was just like, you know, it didn't dawn on me, hey, this car could be electrocuted. I was like, oh fuck, you know, there's an
yeah.
accident. The mom is freaking out. I got to get this baby out the car.
It's very well, and that's the thing is like, having seen that kind of stuff, you're like, hey, man, electricity, un regulated electricity amperage will fry your ass, and it
Dude,
does not give a shit, right?
there's a commercial that I've seen. There's a guy called a nostalgia critic, and he goes through all old commercials. There's a
Yeah,
commercial from Canada. It's
yeah.
called the football, and it's these like four kids, and the one kid kicks a soccer ball into a transformer, like one of them transformer houses. So he
Yeah.
climbs in there to go after the fucking soccer ball, dude. And this was not edited at all.
Nope.
Dude, all you hear is whoa, whoa, whoa. The one little kid goes down, so the other little kid goes to jump in to help. Whoa, whoa. Dude, killed like three kids right
Listen,
there on the fucking transformer.
see,
And it
that's
says, please do not play near power
to
stations.
know, and that's like, see, that is the weird thing, Marco, is that we both grew up in a time where you fuck around and find out, right? That's how things work. And if you're like, hey, if you didn't like, look, the reason GI
No
Joe
stinning the
cartoons
herd.
at the end of the thing was like, hey, knowing is half the battle. If you see a power line, get the fuck away, stupid. Oh, if there's a fire, get the fuck away, stupid. What? And if you didn't listen to that, yeah,
Stop,
well,
drop, and roll.
listen,
Don't keep running.
quicksand, you just spread your arms out. It's very key. You reach for things away from the quick. There's a lot of, I felt like we had a more dangerous world back then, but that's fine. Like, but that's like, if it was one of those things, sure. But then you're going, wait, in August, everything should be cut, trimmed, and water should be free flowing. You live on an island. You don't need fresh water to put out a fire.
And they
Salt
have
water
the
works just
most
fine.
sophisticated alarm system in the world on that island.
Well, it warns
Not
them of
only
nuclear
are there
attack before it even
sirens,
happens.
not only are there sirens, but they send people text messages, and it goes all. They even had some. They were supposed to have people in the streets that
Yeah.
fucking go door to door and be like, "Hey, get the fuck out!"
Like a fire marshal type thing. Like it's
Yeah, and they said like the
fire
excuse
marshal Bill.
they try to play off like they did, like people didn't know about the text message thing.
No.
The dude, that fucking dude from Vegas that fucking was running shit, said he told them not to set the sirens off because the people would have evacuated up into the mountains towards the fire.
See, you can't fix stupid. Like you can't like some people just need to not get involved in a lot of stuff like education, politics, bureaucracy. They should have just not left the farms. You should have just pricked berries for your life and that you would have been better off. Because like this is and also like the idea that some of us like they're trying to be like, no, if you think otherwise, you're crazy. You're going, am I? I'm pretty sure we're not crazy. This is definitely like my also thing is I'm suspicious of the blue stuff just because it seems like an easy distraction. So everyone's like, I'm gonna paint my whole life blue. You're like, that's not how that works, dummy. But
That's another tinfoil hat.
well, yeah, you have people painting their house blue. You're like, why? Just fuck off, you dumb shits, right?
Now, if Alex Jones says paint the house blue, you might want to paint.
I might want to paint the house blue. Yeah, well, listen, he, it is alarming how correct he's been, and it's not good. It's not good. It's not good for anybody.
Nope, not at all.
Those damn frogs went gay, and we're all like, ah, shit.
Then they are. Then they became gay. Now they went past gay and became trans testicles.
They had a parade. I'll tell you that much. And they brought all the baby tadpoles and everything, and they're like, no, they have to see my wiener. It was weird. I don't think that's how the science works, people. But
all right, man. That's been our hour of fun. Thanks for joining us tonight, Dino. That was the best way to end the show. They had to see his dick. They had to see this. Whip it out! Whip it out!
Whip it out! That's just how it is.
All right. Been Upside Down Studios. What the fuck Wednesday? Dino the Genetic Marvel. Go and follow him and follow all his shenanigans and all his pole jumping and shit like that there. And we're out.
Later. Jumping poles. God.
You're pole jumping. That's what you're doing, man. You're jumping fucking poles.